What is good, everyone? Welcome to today's trade recap of the day. Today is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. I ended up taking two trades today. I made $25,000 on the day. So we'll get into how I did that in just about a second here. I first want to acknowledge that it is September 11th, and my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that was affected by those events, as well as the passing of Charlie Kirk, which was yesterday. My condolences go out to his family, his friends, his loved ones, and everyone in attendance at that event. Just a truly vile and disgusting act was committed yesterday, and something that has no place in this country. It was a huge step back for us, especially in a country that prides itself on having freedom of speech, being able to express your beliefs and ideologies freely, and being killed over that is something that has, again, no place in this country, and is something that we should all condemn and stand against, okay? And I just needed to get that off my chest before starting this trade recap. So, just something that needed to be said, okay? And let's get into it, okay? So, I ended up taking two trades today, though. Get into that. I ended up taking, and let me show you guys the P&L first. Okay, so here's the P&L, right? Made $980 across my accounts. Even do a little refresh. All right, and the live trade execution is posted on my TikTok and Instagram, so go check that out if you haven't done so already. Go follow those accounts, and let's get first into the bias and my execution and the idea behind these trades, okay? So coming into the day, I was leaning bullish until these highs were hit, and because we had these data lows, right? So I was really honestly pretty neutral on the day because I could have seen this low as being just a protected low. Reasoning for that is because we traded into this gap, so I could have seen that, but also I think we had good sell side liquidity resting below. However, we were getting really close on ES towards this high. Why is this? Wait, hold up. We're getting really close to this high. All right, so we're getting really close to overall all-time highs. So I was looking to see that get hit and then look for a potential short. The data lows were just kind of sketching me out. Okay, so first things first, I'll just show you guys what open looked like. And there was a couple of plays, right? First off being, I think there was a short that ended up happening. And the short was actually pretty nice. Unfortunately, there was just no entry for that. The 5-minute ended up closing. And I was looking to get into this short, this 5-minute short, and potentially getting a mech model, just targeting this unfilled 5-minute gap and then also this unfilled 5-minute gap. And that unfortunately didn't happen. We ended up closing here and then hitting this low before actually getting an entry. So no entry there. And then from there, this is the condition, right? If we are going to be bullish, this should be the lowest point in which price should trade to, right? Because this is the P raise, this is the low to high of this range. And if we start disrespecting this gap, then it only makes sense for price to then go to data lows. But if we respect this, then we can assume that this low is then protected and then we should trade higher, right? So this ended up happening, and I told myself, okay, I'm going to be bullish until the buy model is complete, right? Meaning until the next key level is taken, being what? All-time highs, being that data high, right? So ES here, I was looking to see that, okay? So we end up trading then higher, and then at that point in time, this low, I'm no longer seeing as protected, all right? Once we end up hitting it, so we don't hit it there, but then, what the fuck? Wait, where did we hit it? Wait, I'm sorry. I was on the 5-minute chart. I'm tripping. We ended up hitting this. Buy side liquidity right here on the 1-minute. Okay, and at this point in time, we ended up having this SMT with all-time highs. Right. Okay, so we have this SMT with all-time highs, and from here, I was saying, okay, we have an SMT with all-time highs. If we get a clear V shape out of this, I could definitely seeing this at minimum going to this unfilled 3-minute, and then I could, of course, also see this going lower, right? Because we did have this unfilled 3-minute gap here. And then also lower to this low, which I was no longer seeing as protected. And then also data lows, which could have also been unprotected, being that the buy model is now complete, right? Does that make sense? I first want to just explain my thought process behind this. So let me just draw this out. In buy models and sell models, guys, when we end up trading to lows and gaps, right? So we're in a sell model, boom, and we hit the new key level, right? Let's say this is your higher time frame, hourly fair value gap. At this point in time, we end up trading higher, right? And whenever we trade into gaps and then trade above it and then trade into gaps and trade above it, these lows are protected the same way these highs are protected and are now draws on liquidity for our buy side and our buy model. These lows are protected and they will continue to be protected until the next key level has been hit and until the buy model is complete. So I was then looking to see potential shorts play out because I saw ES completed that model, and I was looking to see, okay, if this wants to play out, then we can assume that a bearish bias is in play. We can assume that. But if this doesn't play out, then we can assume that NQ would then want to run to all-time highs in that data high. Not all-time highs, that data high. Okay, so that's what I was looking at, right? And this was the short. So it ended up getting a perfect recovery right there. We ended up getting a really shitty close, so I ended up taking a 30-second limit order with a change of state of delivery entry right here. All right, so I'm trading back into there. I ended up entering shorts right there with a stop loss at right here. And then I was looking to get a TP just for my internal liquidity pool being the unfilled 3-minute gap. I usually look for unfilled 5 minutes, but this is like the only really draw I saw that made sense. Good low resistance liquidity, good targets here for my continuation model. And then as well, the higher time frame draw being this low and then data lows, right? The 5-minute intermediate low and then data lows. So we end up respecting the CISD. I end up moving my stop loss then to break even right there. We end up getting really close to my stop, then really close to my take profit. And then finally, we did end up hitting my break even. So got break even on that. And at this point in time, okay, once I see this happen, where we are slowly starting to disrespect this SMT, we are not trading back to these lows. These lows are now seen as protected. And we are continuing to respect bullish, disrespect bearish. This is a very clear sign in bullish order flow, okay? Because you will never, ever see, really, price action like this where we are trading above highs, closing above highs with displacement, creating gaps like this. This is a clear sign in bullish order flow, and this is a clear sign in a continuation model, okay? So now I'm going back to my buy model and sell model. I'm assuming that NQ is still in a buy model, right? At the end of the day, and I know people are going to be like, oh, but you're flipping your bias and you're just gambling, right? No, right? I can have a bias coming into the morning, right? I can be bearish on the day towards this low, right? But what you also have to do is be reactive to the market. As much as you want to predict the market, you need to be reacting to what it is telling you, okay? So the market is clearly telling me here, I am bullish. I am targeting higher prices right now, right? Like that's what the market is telling me. It's not telling me that we're going lower. It's not telling me that we're displacing through gaps. It's not telling me any of that. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to be married to my original short bias. I'm going to now look for longs because that's what the market is telling me, right? It's obvious, okay? I see a lot of people also saying like, oh, Blake, like I don't know what to do. Like the draw on liquidity isn't obvious here. Okay, so wait. If you don't know what the draw on liquidity is, there's no reason to be trading in between that price action, right? Once we hit my break-even spot, at that point in time, I was pretty indecisive on my draw. I didn't really know if we were bullish or bearish. But once I saw this happen, I was like, okay, this is a lot more bullish. This is a very bullish move. Once I saw this 5-minute order block getting respected, very bullish move. 5-minute fair value gap getting respected, very bullish move. This is all clear signs in bullish price action, okay? So this is an obvious sign, and this is a no-brainer setup. This is something that will take 10 out of 10 times. So the highest time for inversion from this high to this low was a 2-minute gap. There was no 3-minute gap, so I take the highest time for inversion. And this is where I entered longs. I then, for my continuation model, guys, I look for just the recent buy side as my main target. Reasoning for that is because we usually do hit this, and then just from my back testing, it's oftentimes we then trade back to this break even spot, then I get break even, and then we run to the draw. So it's like I was really only looking for this, but since this wasn't a 1-to-1, I just held a little bit higher to get that 1-to-1. And I was risking a good amount on this trade, a decent amount, because I was really confident in my draw and the higher time frame key level. I definitely, in hindsight, could have held to the data high. Do I care? No. I mean, if you just look at the past trade recaps this week, like the trade yesterday, I was really confident in that data high. And I just took a 1-to-1 to the unfilled 5-minute. And did the data high get hit on that day? No. Even though it was a super obvious draw, like the market can sometimes just do whatever the fuck it wants. We hit this high. This was my TP yesterday, and then we dumped. Even though this looked really obvious, like that's the thing. So even though it's looked really obvious, I still wanted to take my piece of the pie. I still wanted to take profits, and as long as it's over a 1-to-1, I am satisfied with that because that is my model, and I'm sticking to my rules. Okay. But yeah, I mean, in hindsight, again, this was a really obvious draw, and I could have held. But yeah, ended up going break even like around here, I remember, just because I saw this gap get mitigated, the CIC get mitigated, and I didn't want to see price go lower than that. And then yeah, we got 2 really nice candles, and I ended up taking my take profit around here for a 1-to-1. So really nice. I was risking around $1,000 on all my accounts, which is more than usual, but because I do have a really good buffer going, as well as this is a very, very obvious A+ setup for me. So I was able to risk more, and I liked the trade a lot. So that was that. Up really big on this week. I think I'm up almost 60. I think I'm up $60,000 around that on this week. So gonna keep it up. We have Friday tomorrow, so we'll see how that is, and just continuing to practice good risk management, good discipline. And at the end of the day, guys, patience will always pay. Okay, remember that. That being said, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this trade recap of the day. This hopefully helped some of you guys that are struggling with bias and understanding conditions and when to flip bias. But yeah, that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow if I take a trade. If not, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And if I don't see you guys tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your weekend. But yeah, peace out, team. Have a good one. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.